to portal or not to portal? That's kind of been the question with colleges around the country. You go and get your quarterback, and you've had some key additions, maybe not as aggressive as some maybe would have thought going in. You're into developing your guys. But let's start at the quarterback spot. Obviously, the depth took a little bit of a hit. Some of that is to be expected. You know how the game goes with quarterbacks around the country. How have you changed to kind of evolve into how the game is dictated you have to play?
Yeah, I'm going to do what I think is right for the team, but also right for each individual. I'm going to always follow the rules, but I'm also going to try to make sure what I do is filled with integrity and not worry about how people see it. I always want to be someone that history, when you look back, you say, okay, hey, he did the right thing, not in the moment. Because sometimes you do things that you know are right.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this at Baylor when I took over after a scandal. Like, everyone was always worried about the optics. I was like, let's worry about history's optics. When people look back, do they say, you know what, they did the right things in that situation? So for me, I kind of look at it like that. Like, we came in, we had a chance to get some guys out of the portal, and I wanted to get guys in like that sophomore and junior class. And, there were some unique ties to some of those guys. So I had information. So I think there's always going to be a place for that. But I do know this, Damon. Like, I got a lot of parents right now asking me, like, hey, how many guys are you going to take in the portal? Because they don't want to send their kids somewhere that they're going to be there for 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
and they're
for
going to
sure.
bring someone in ahead, especially now in the NIL era. Like, hey, you're going to bring this kid in, and he's marketable, so he's going to play more than my kid. So we still want to keep our ethos of like, hey, we are a developmental program. We'll always look at the portal. We'll always look at guys. But you know what? Like, I want to know why you left. I don't. We think playing at the University of Nebraska is the highest of the high. We think playing here means you can play anywhere, and so we want to do our due diligence, take each one kind of for what it is. So it's a challenge. I've had to adapt to new things. It's also given us a lot of abilities. With our own guys, we had a lot of guys that really wanted to be here, and they also really wanted to play a lot. And unfortunately, maybe being here means you're not going to play as much, and going somewhere else means you're going to play more. And so being honest with guys was really important to me. And we want to build a program where guys don't want to transfer. I think most guys didn't. But you know what? Guys had to do what was right for them in order to get on the field. But I think the key part of our team that's here stayed.
I get the sense, just kind of how you want to play on offense, at least what we've heard out loud, in this weird way, is kind of predicated on being able to play good defense,
Yeah.
right? If you're gonna have ball control offense, run action, run the football, it usually is complemented by a strong defense if you're not going to try to outscore people. How important is, or which do you think you can develop first, an identity offensively or defensively as you kind of grow this thing?
It's a great question. I expect us to identify. I expect us to build both identities. I just think, you can't find me now. Take out Alabama and Georgia because they're so much further ahead than everybody in the last couple of years. But you can't find many places to me that slinging around the yard all the time and play in tempo and do all those things that also have great defenses. Because, just in relation to the type of offense, like if you're trying to run 85 plays, your defense is going to play 10 more snaps. And so there's not many teams that have been able to be like elite doing that, but also have a great defense. So that struggles because I don't know how you can win a national championship if you can't play great defense. You talk about Nebraska's history, everyone always said to me, like, run the ball, use a fullback. No one ever says, like, let's get back to those defenses. Like,
That's a great point.
Go back to and I hope it's okay that I say this, and this might offend former players. I don't mean it. I mean it in the greatest of respect. It's not about the shirt. The black shirts, to me, was the way you played football.
Yeah.
Meant you got to wear that shirt. Like, people say you bring. I think I showed you one day. Like, go look at a Baylor practice. Every guy starting defense.
Yeah,
black shirts.
I remember watching that film.
Because I grew up in this era. I coached my first year of college football in 1998. You can bet Jeff Collins, the defensive coordinator at Albright College, future Georgia Tech head coach, you can bet the defense was wearing black shirts. That was, hey, we believe in defense. And so I don't know how you can win at the highest levels if you can't play great defense. So I'll start there. So I expect us to be explosive on offense. Like, you guys were a ball control, run the ball team, yes, and I think you guys scored 70, 60, 70 points, yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that means we're just going to, like, go 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Like, we're going to be explosive. We're going to run the quarterback. We're going to throw RPOs. We're going to break in and out of tempo. But at the end of the day, when we have a lead in the fourth quarter and you need to get 10 yards and the defense knows we're running it and we know we're running it, our fate will be determined by, can we get 10 yards? When it's good teams or early on, like, well, our fate will be determined this year based upon, it's 3rd and 1. Can we run it and it's 4th and 1. Can we run it and get a yard? Like, that to me is what matters. And so if we can play great defense, if we can play great offense, and if we can complement that with special teams, then we'll give ourselves a chance in every game. And even further than that, if I may say this, like, man, at Temple, people have made a lot about, are you 3-3-5? Are you that? At Temple, we ran I formation offense, and we ran power and counter. You know what? We'd get in the gun and we'd sling it, but you knew when you played us, we were a 4-down defense. Went to Baylor, I had NFL receivers. I had 3 NFL tailbacks. We were in 11 personnel, spread out, no huddle. But you know what? We went to the 3-down, 3-3 stack on defense, and we were top 5 in the nation in defense. We go to the NFL. I could never get the offense turned in the NFL, but on defense, we were number 2 in the league in the second year with kind of a double hybrid, 5 down. So it's not the what that you do to me, it's how you do it. And so I say all that to say, we're going to have an identity on defense, and we're going to run the ball and play hard and be physical and knock the ball out. Now, can we get there? We'll see. On offense, we're going to run the football. We're going to try to create explosives. We're going to be really good situationally, and our quarterbacks, we think, have a chance to be difference makers. And on special teams, we want to block kicks. We're going to return. We're not going to fair catch kickoff first.
It's interesting how you've talked about that for a while now. You want your hands on balls with defensive kicking. Not a lot of people come in saying you don't get after it enough. Where'd that come from?
Well, so we started doing it at Temple. Ed was a special teams coordinator at Temple. Mike Sarava was a special teams coordinator, and we just started blocking them, and it caught fire. And it would change games, and like, our guys took such pride in it. Like starters wanted to be on special teams because you're not just going out there to run a play, you're going out there to make a play. Like let me go make a play. Like, I'll give you an example. I started getting caught up into the whole world of, like, oh, it's fair catch kickoff returns. Okay, my last year in college, and Ed came back and he was like, dude, like, are we gonna play football or not? And I was like, well, here's why. And he was like, there's gonna be a game. I can't promise everyone will be a good one, but there's gonna be a game where you take a kickoff return and we take it back. We're playing Texas Tech. We're not playing very good. We're like number 15 in the country. We're at 7-0, whatever the year was, 6-0. And the opening kickoff of the second half, they kick it to Josh Fleeks. He's about a yard deep. He takes it back 72 yards. We're off and running. And I was like, I get it. Then we get to the NFL, and I'm like, let's put our feet on the goal line. I heard this guy, Chris Tabor, who had Cordell Patterson, who was one of the great kickoff return coaches in the NFL. And he was like, hey, man, are we going to play football? Like, let's not worry about, like, field position being perfect. Let's have them kick it off to us. Let's make them run down and have to tackle us. And let's go block. And so I guess this fourth version of me, I want to play football. I want people to come here and be like, we might win, we might lose, but either way, they're going to feel us. And so I don't want there to be any plays off. I don't want there to be, like, hey, we're going to fair catch a kickoff return. We're going to make it eat. No, we're not going to block every kick, and we're going to be smart, but we're going to challenge people. And because we want to make plays, and we know that because we're 4-8, we have to find every single edge to give ourselves an edge in winning the game.